That's recording. Okay, so. Okay, damn it, the last person that was on here was a lot taller than I was. So, alright.
I feel it.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Will It Be a Classic, the show where we talk about movies from the last couple of years and speculate on how they will be regarded in the last couple of years. This is like the first episode in since October. Been a hot minute since this channel has really done anything, but we have 2/3 of the Film Section podcast here. Chris will be back on this channel very soon. But yeah,
Eventually.
Cory here. How's it been? How you doing? What's going on?
Hey, I have a Facebook account now.
Reactivated.
That's my height. Yeah.
So today's episode, we are talking about. It's kind of a special episode because we're talking about X, Pearl, and our anticipation and excitement for Maxxxine, Ty West's X trilogy. It's no secret that you and I are like huge fans of X and Pearl. So I guess let's go movie by movie first, and let's just start with X. What are your favorite just like elements of that movie?
The best part of that movie, I think, honestly, it seems like it could have taken place down the road from the farmhouse from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It has a brilliant setting, and I know like Texas Chainsaw has had like however many sequels, reboots, remakes, but this movie really like digs into like that feel, because you do feel like you're in rural Texas. There's nobody else around except for the people trying to fucking kill you. But again, it has this it's the same thing with Pearl. Like, it can be very vicious off screen, but it can also imply like really terrible things.
I remember I read a review, and I think it's like the perfect way to describe X is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Boogie Nights.
Kind of, yeah,
I think
dude.
it's
That's like
perfect.
actually fucking perfect. I never even thought of that.
Yeah,
Dude, like, but yeah, like it's exactly like that. It has this, the younger cast. I get they're playing porn stars, but they all come off like. At first, I was like, should I like these people? But then, like, by the last quarter of the movie, you're like, fuck, these are really like likable people. Like, they're really decent. Like,
well, it's a cool movie, especially in today's culture, that kind of it embraces like the power and sexuality, whether you're man or woman. And I think that's kind of a cool take, because again, you see a lot of horror movies, especially, that are like, if you have any sexual anything, you're dead. Like, that's just, and typically they're written as like very sleazy characters, and here it's, they are just
they're
three-dimensional.
fleshed out.
Yeah.
Like, even we're doing spoilers, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even the scene where the hot blonde goes
Brittany
up,
Snow.
She goes up to Pearl and is like, yeah, my nana used to be the same way. Like, she's showing genuine kindness.
Oh yeah.
And then she dies awfully. She gets fed to a fucking alligator.
It's great. And and before that, she's trying to be super nice to Pearl and is like, let's get you back. And Pearl pushes her in.
Well, Pearl is it's awesome that Maxxxine and Pearl are played by the same person, because they're each other's antithesis.
Yeah.
Pearl is eternally bitter, towards life and just everything. She hates that time has passed her by. She hates that she's still living in this farmhouse that she swore that she would
leave,
escape one day. And then you have Maxxxine, who's kind of a badass in the sense that she she abandoned a overly religious upbringing to join the adult film world, but she's not she's okay with that, then fucking why not?
Yeah. I guess so. Let's go into characters. like one by one, I guess, what was sort of your favorite and least favorite thing with, we'll save Maxine for the end. Pearl's husband. Just want to make sure this is good.
Pearl's husband. I think it's kind of like interesting that you really only see him for like a few seconds in Pearl, yet he's such a big part of. He's a pretty huge part of X.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's like one of the best, like, it's not a jump scare, but just kind of like, oh shit, like the scene where he flashes a light on him and you see what he actually looks like for the first time. He looks like the fucking Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
Like
He's an ugly, ugly man.
But he just looks like mean and like vicious and shit. But it's interesting though, in Pearl, like when he's horrified when he like comes in, like, but Pearl kind of morphed him into that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to say that Maxine isn't your favorite character of like X. Like, but as I said before, like kind of like a badass that ran away from home. She got into porn, but like when shit goes down, like she even tries to save Jenna Ortega's character before she just randomly becomes an asshole. Like,
well, really quickly, actually, let's talk about Jenna Ortega's character, because obviously Jenna Ortega is Jenna Ortega now.
Yeah,
like, she's huge, and I think
great actress,
amazing actress, and I think it's so funny that Church Mouse is not really brought up a lot from people. I don't know if maybe a lot of people haven't seen it, or if just, I don't know, because it's a decent role, because she sort of plays almost like an audience surrogate in the movie that's sort of like, you're like a little prudish towards this sort of subject matter, and then she kind of does a full 180 and is like, well, no.
Well, you find out she's really not. Like, it's her and her boyfriend seem like they have a very conservative, I guess, like relationship, and they're introduced to this world of porn stars, and she's intrigued by it. But I don't know, like the way, like, you could have made this movie with all these characters and have it be really shitty, but the way Ty West does it, they're all like fleshed out. They're good. You feel bad for the boyfriend when she like participates in the film.
When she fucks Kid Cudi.
Yeah, dude, he seemed like crying in the shower.
You see how big Kid Cudi's dick is.
Holy shit, dude! I thought it was one of the tripods from War of the Worlds.
Yeah, if I was a boyfriend and I had to film that, I'd probably be a little bit
I'd be crying in the shower too. I'll never live up to that.
Yeah. So, but again, I'm not mad at Jenna Ortega's character, because throughout the entire movie, she's kind of pushing back on her boyfriend, and her boyfriend is like, it doesn't mean anything, it's just art, why are you like putting this weird spin on it? And so for Jenna Ortega's character to then basically take what he's saying and act on it, it's sort of like, yeah, I kind of understand. And then you have the producer guy that's like, none of them are nice girls.
Well, yeah, dude, that dude's... Here's the thing, like, assholes like to use the word brutal honesty, but that guy was literally using brutal honesty when it came to that.
And he wasn't being mean about it, or like, I didn't.
He's like, dude, this is just how it is. Like, I'm sorry, but
like, if you want to be in this industry, you gotta be like that.
Yeah.
So then, of course, let's just go to Mia Goth's character of Maxine, because she is a badass. I think my favorite scene in the whole movie is when she's like standing up to Pearl, and like the TV screen is going with like the pastor or whatever, and like that ends up being her dad, and you see her like in like the background holding the gun up, and I just think that's like, one, that's a fucking badass shot. Her monologue and how she like says that I will not live a life I don't deserve, and it's like echoing the guy on the TV. I just think that's one of the most badass scenes that we've seen in like the last couple years in horror.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that whole standoff, like it's just shot well. At all the actors, like said, like, dude, it's kind of badass. Like, but the thing is, like, Pearl and Maxine, they both want the same thing in life. Or
I'm a fucking star.
Yeah, they both like want like that high life. They think it's gonna be better for them. But Maxine is like actually like pursuing it, and Pearl just kind of got stuck here at this farm. So that motivation for like a horror, I'm not gonna call her a I think she's too good of a character to be called a slasher, but a horror villain. I think that's a great motivation. Like,
Oh yeah.
because they're both like each other's antithesis, and like you see that Pearl is kind of obsessed with Maxine.
Oh yeah.
She reminds her of a younger version of herself.
Yeah. Pearl like longs for what she never had, and is as you as you said, she's just very jaded about it. So I mean, what's your favorite kill in X? There's a lot of really good ones.
Let me think. The initial one with the dude getting his neck stabbed repeatedly until it's a decapitation, and then Pearl dances afterwards, because it's almost like it's not only a like good kill scene, but it's almost like you see Pearl be revitalized, like she's kind of lost.
She does like the Joker dance scene.
Yeah. But it's almost like she just re-upped her battery there. Like,
yeah. I also love that it's Don't Fear the Reaper, right? Like that's what he's listening to in the car.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautifully shot scene.
Oh yeah.
I'll say this: Ty West is an incredibly underrated director.
Well,
until these movies came out.
Yeah, the cinematography did Ty West do the cinematography for this movie also, or did he have a different DP?
I think he might have, but
yeah.
Like, you think of his filmography though, like, dude, he started off with like House of the Devil, and that is as low budget as it is. It's incredibly like well done.
He has a way of making his movies feel very authentic.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first time I saw House of the Devil, it was for the Film Section podcast. There's an episode of that on here. You guys should watch that. But I remember saying to Chris, like, watching it, I legitimately thought it was a movie from, like, the early 1980s. I, like, actually thought it was. Because I had never really heard of Ty West before. I didn't know, like, really who he was. And so when I watched this movie and I saw, like, the still frame credits with House of the Devil over her, I was like, this movie had to have taken place in, like, the early 80s. And no, it was made in, like, 2017 or something like that, 2014. Like,
he's a great director like that. Like, even I think my least favorite movie by him is a movie called The Innkeepers, but even I think that is like
it has a terrifying jump scare in it, though.
It's great. It has good moments. Like, there's no denying that, and it's very well directed. But he's also directed like all these other like small random movies. Like, he directed a western called Jesus Christ, the one with Ethan Hawke and John Travolta in it, In the Valley of Violence.
I've never even heard of that.
Dude, it's good.
Really?
Like, dude, it even has like, it's that. I mean, it lives up to the title. It's a very violent movie. It's just basically your typical like loner runs into town, gets into shit with people, and then, but dude, it's genuinely like a very well done movie. And he did another one, the one that's kind of like the Jonestown. I'm trying to think. I think it's called The Sacrament.
Oh, I've heard the name of that. I didn't know Ty West directed that.
He directed it. It's a found footage movie, but it's basically a found footage movie about the Jonestown massacre, or the mass suicide. But it's insane because it's like, it's obviously about that. It has like different name for the cult, different. It's basically a guy going to his, because he hasn't heard from his sister in a while. It turns out she joined this cult. They go there. They meet a guy just like the leader of that cult, and it's like the same thing. Like, everybody seems happy and they're all joyous, but a day later, like, they have their cameras out and like people are like lined up to like leave, and it becomes a pretty fucked up movie. But it's a very underrated found footage movie.
I love found footage movies, so yeah.
Dude,
I'm down to watch
same here. Same here.
So, I guess, back on X, I think my favorite kill is probably Brittany Snow's being fed to the alligator, because I remember the first time I watched that, I just remember the first time watching that, and I was in the theater, and it was like me and like one other person, and we both laughed so hard out of
Dude,
like
'cause
shock
you see
and
it,
like
you know it's coming.
Like, well,
she's in
they
the
do
lake.
such a tee up to it earlier in the movie with me and Goth like swimming in the show.
That is
So it's like,
that is a great tension scene. Like, cause the most fucking frustrating part about that scene was for me when she gets to the dock, she stops.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Get out of the fucking water! What the hell are you doing?
But yeah, I just remember Brittany Snow being fed to the alligator and just like both of us just
and
laughing.
death rolls with her and shit.
Yeah,
like,
and
dude, it's brutal.
It's so brutal and it's so funny because it's like, again, as you said, like you know it's coming the whole movie, but it happens so fast and it catches you so off guard that it's like you can't help but laugh. Like, what the fuck did I just watch?
But no, that's like exactly like what that scene is. Even like some of like the lesser effective, because I hated how Kid Cudi like got.
Well, he got
killed
shot,
off.
right?
Yeah, but it's like you like his character.
Oh
at
yeah,
that point.
his
Like,
character was so nice.
He's willing to go outside bare ass naked to help this man find his elderly wife.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Like his character was pretty much throughout the movie. Like, he was a little cocky, obviously.
Well, he's a former soldier too.
Yeah.
Like he's.
And I think he was like a Marine or something too, wasn't he? So like he's super respectful. He's nice. He's kind of funny. So it's like, yeah, when he gets like blown away, it's sort of like that. Damn.
Yeah.
Like.
Well,
man.
yeah. I mean, if I had a dick that big, I'd be cocky too. But
Well,
it's
it
just,
comes with the territory.
Yeah. But no, like you like the. I would say when in the first few minutes of like meeting some of these people, it's like, okay, you're just like a typical like fucking like throwaway character in any horror movie. But by the end of it, you're like genuinely like, fuck, dude, like live, goddamn it, like don't trust these fucking old people, like, because that's how Pearl and her husband kill in this movie. Like they catch people off guard. You know.
Yeah, I think. I will say, I think the actual funniest death in the movie though is still the husband's, because all movie he's talking about he's like I can't have sex because I'll have a heart attack. Can't have sex because I'll have a heart attack. They finally have sex, and then he gets down the stairs, and then what? He just gets like spooked, and then he just has a fucking heart attack.
Dude, because fucking Jenna Ortega like comes back to life and scares him. That's like the ultimate payback. Like you have a death rattle and like somebody like you kill who fucking kills you.
Yeah.
But he.
It was so.
It's like he might as well have a moment like worth it.
And then fucking Jenna Ortega fucking when she's running out of the house and she just gets fucking blown away.
Oh
like, Again, the movie, and I think it's intentionally a little silly. Like, I think it's meant for you to kind of laugh a little bit.
It has a goofy factor to it. It definitely does.
Yeah. I love it. I think X is, in my opinion, what a perfect, like, quote-unquote midnight movie, like a midnight movie horror kind of movie should be. It's a little raunchy. It's a little violent. It's a very adult movie. It's like, I think it's...
Adult being the key word.
Yeah, oh yeah, in literally every definition. It is a very adult movie. And I love it. Now, Pearl is a whole different story. I love Pearl too, but it's a completely different cinematic experience.
Well, like, you know how we said that Maxxine and Pearl are kind of like each other's antithesis? Like, it's displayed in this movie, like, even in its tone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's weird because we were saying that, you know, X is kind of like, you know, like, it has more in common with Texas Chainsaw. Pearl is almost like if you combined Psycho with Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Like, it's in how like majestical it is, because it literally starts off with her like dancing in the barn. Like, you think she's very whimsical, but as soon as she sees, is it a duck or a
Yeah.
swan? But like she sees it and she's immediately she
Stop
goes from like
laughing at
that.
me.
She's like, and like, it. She's a sympathetic character, but a very fucking scary one though
She-
too at the same time.
She's like childlike in a lot of ways, and then she's also very like not in a lot of ways too. But there is just this like very like kind of childlike like
Glee to her.
yeah. You know the cow I think is like she loves the cow, like they're like great friends. She like gets off on a scarecrow, which is it's a strange scene. But I do think it's really funny when she yells I'm married. At the I'm married.
Well, she has like, if you ever hear Mia Goth like talk in an actual
She has
interview,
such a squeaky
she
little
has
British
like,
voice.
"Say hello, I'm Mia Goth. How are you doing?"
Mia
It's-
Goth has like the cutest, squeakiest little British
Yeah.
voice.
But like when you see her in movies, like have you seen Infinity Pool with
Yes.
her too?
Yeah.
Like when she's like screeching at the bus, "Come out now!" Like she's like fucking. But I think that like displays how like good of an actress she is.
Oh, she's
like,
awesome.
You know.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's been around more than people think too, because she was in Suspiria, the remake of Suspiria, which I fucking
Yeah.
love. She was
I'd
in
ac-
I Life, which is a really good movie too.
Yeah. Well, I'd actually, because I remember when we were talking about whether remakes were better than the original. I have to go back and say I think the remake of Suspiria is better. Than the original.
I like the
It's-
remake. of
It's
Suspiria.
more enjoyable and like, cause. Well,
It feels like a more cohesive story.
Yeah, I'm not
honestly.
gonna get into Suspiria, but it's like it's all over the
Yeah,
place.
I love the original Suspiria. Don't get me wrong. It is
Yeah.
a sensory
Yeah, visually,
experience.
yeah.
But yeah,
The original
remake,
is a bit more cohesive.
the remake is a little bit more cohesive.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think Pearl is cool. It takes place during the what is it, Spanish flu?
Yeah. And her husband Harold is at war.
Yeah, and then we see the projectionist, who is going to be the DCU's new Superman, which I think is really funny.
Yeah. How many horror villains can say they killed Superman?
Yeah, it'll be
with
crazy.
a pitchfork,
Yeah.
nonetheless.
But I think Pearl. I always go back and forth on whether or not I like Pearl or X more, because it's honestly so hard for me to choose.
Oh, they're different. They are very,
They're so
very
different. Pearl is, again, it's pretty much like you're really just kind of following Mia Goth for the most part, and like her mom a little bit, and the projectionist a little bit, and her dad a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing about both these movies too that doesn't seem like it's gonna be the case for Maxxxine, but X and Pearl both have like very small casts.
Yeah. Well, that works to its advantage though, because every single character in that movie, even the dad who's like comatose, like gives a great performance. You genuinely. Here's the thing though, like absolute credit to Ty West. Pearl and X both take place basically on the same location,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you do not like think of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it seems so run down in X, and in
Oh,
Pearl,
yeah.
it's like vibrant. Everything's colorful.
I
You know?
remember watching like behind the scenes with with Pearl, where I think one of like the set designers or something was like, it's so much easier to trash a place for filming than it is to basically like make it look pretty again after
remodel it,
yeah. And it was like the amount of work that they did to make that look how it did. And I also remember, like, I think Ty West was like, we were thinking about doing it in black and white, and I think that would have done a huge disservice to the movie had it been in black and white.
Because it is pretty bloody. I mean, they imply a lot of stuff, but they definitely show a lot of stuff in that movie.
Yeah, I feel like as you said, like it has like that
It
Wizard of
doesn't-
Oz kind of Technicolor sort of feel to it.
Yeah, like the color and like the vibrancy of that movie, like it kind of like makes it.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you know what I
like
mean?
it enhances it for sure.
Because it's a movie about this like insane woman who's like, you know, who she that kind of makes her a little bit sympathetic. It's like, yeah, you get it. Like, she wants to get off this farm. She wants to live her life, but at the same time, she's off her fucking rockers, like, for real. And, like, the vibrancy, though, like, kind of adds, like, this, like, layer to it. It's like, oh, yeah, she's not all bad. She has, like, dreams and whatever. But you notice all that shit goes away when she loses the audition at the, and she loses her fucking mind. She's
Yeah,
like, that was the best dancing I've ever done.
yeah. I'll put that clip.
I'm a star! Please, I'm a star!
Up here because that clip is so great.
Dude, well, I mean, it's great acting though, because you're seeing her lose her shit, and also like the monologue she gives, like, about being angry.
That like 5-minute monologue that she gives with no cuts is insane. Like, I know there would probably be some people that would watch that and be like, this is really boring, but it's like, I don't think people understand the like amount of acting prowess that probably takes.
You can call it boring if you haven't watched the entire movie up until then, but I like guarantee you, anybody watching that movie and then like getting to there, it's like, oh, we get it now. Like,
it's amazing. And then it just cuts to her stepsister that's just
she like realizes at that point,
sister-in-law, and she's just like,
well, she realizes she's like, fuck,
you're
like almost like
psycho.
like, it's like, yeah, I gotta get out of here. But it's like they add on top of that with like Pearl coming out and grabbing the axe, and like you see she's realizing at that point, like, fuck. Like, who wouldn't be in that situation, like in that state of mind, like, you know, when you're like being pursued by somebody you thought was like a friend, and now it was like a fucking like axe murderer and shit.
And the credits where it's just like her smiling.
Oh yeah, like dementedly, like yeah.
And she has to like hold that for so long. Like, it's insane. I think I mean, obviously Pearl is the best character in that movie, but what death, I think of the 3, are there only 3 deaths in that movie?
There's a low kill count in that movie, but I think the most
the mom, the sister-in-law, the projectionist.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the sister-in-law at the end, because it's more like drawn out and like you feel her like terror as like it's happening.
I think mine is probably the projectionists.
Well, dude, that's like
I think that's my favorite, where she just walks up and is like, "You are not leaving me," and then just stabs him with the fucking pitchfork.
Dude, like, that's like, for me, that like moment was when she was like, "Yeah, I'm the Pearl from X." Now.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, cause she's straight up. Cause, dude, like, I said Maxxxine was a badass, but like, Pearl's like a scary badass. Like,
Pearl's terrifying.
She's like, dude, like, yeah, she's like somebody, like, if you were in a relationship with, like, you would be like, once you saw like the real person, like, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Well, yeah, I mean, that scene where they're in the barn and she's like, "Why are you leaving me? I thought you liked me." She's like screaming at him, and he's just like, I do. Now there is Mia Goth said that when she was writing the projectionist, purposely made him ambiguous so that he could either exist only in Pearl's mind or actually be real. Which take, I guess, would you prefer? I kind of like the projectionist not being real. I think that's kind of interesting.
Knowing the character, I'd say he was real, but I definitely get that take, because this is all from Pearl's perspective, so you got an unreliable narrator. Yeah. Pearl's fucking insane. Yeah. She's fucking, there's no denying that.
Yeah.
But it can go either way. I mean, it would make sense either way, because
they purposely left it ambiguous so that you could take it whichever way you wanted.
Yeah, and Pearl and her husband aren't like new to hiding bodies. You know what I mean? So they could have gotten away with it. God damn! Like, another like scary thing about X is like the fact that like 1970s, like, people could get away with this. like killing massive amounts of
Dude,
people in their fucking like barn and
During
shit.
the Spanish flu, it was even easier.
Yeah,
You could just drop them off in the lake.
yeah, but like that's what always made because I'll tell you a story. Like my I used to live in Albany as a kid, so like when I was 8 years old, we had these woods behind our house, and there was a farm on the opposite side of these woods, like a mile away, but still, like you can hear, like shit. They had like this motor that would always run some generator or something, but my brother would always be like, "Yeah, that's Leatherface's chainsaw in the woods," like scared the shit out of me. So. I don't know, like something kind of clicked with me with X.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that feeling that just it has like a great whole opening because it does what Texas Chainsaw does. It makes this feeling of dread, just pure fucking dread, like going in, and it's a very like isolated, like out in the fucking middle of nowhere setting. That I think makes it, scary in its own way. But also you got Pearl, like, I think there's not really a lot of movies like Pearl, like, in terms of, like, the genre. Like, it's so whimsical at some points, but so fucking brutal at others.
It's definitely, like, one of a kind. I guess, so, I mean, do you have a favorite between the two?
Love them both, but I'd say X just on nostalgia factor alone.
Okay. Okay.
I in a lot of ways though, Pearl is like a better made movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess let's go to Maxxxine, where the trailer for Maxxxine dropped a couple weeks ago. I believe it's supposed to be coming out this summer. And dude, if Ty West sticks the landing for Maxxxine, I think we really have the possibility for one of the greatest horror trilogies just ever.
Well, I think
Or just like horror sagas, franchises, whatever you want to say.
just seeing how different it looks. Like, you have as we mentioned before, our first one has very much Texas Chainsaw vibes. Second one has almost like Wizard of Oz, Psycho, like that kind of vibes. This one is just like a crime noir like thriller. Giallo, yeah.
It's Giallo inspired. I think Ty West said so. It's like like a neo noir Giallo is like, fuck yeah. And it looks crazy. The cast is stacked too, between like.
Oof.
Giancarlo Esposito, Kevin Bacon, Halsey's in this movie.
Halsey, yeah.
There was a couple other people too that I think were in the movie. And it's just like.
Well, the dude from Breaking Bad is in it too.
Giancarlo Esposito, yeah. The movie looks crazy. It looks like it's supposed to take place during like the start of like home video porn, where like you could like get the tapes and stuff.
It's interesting though, because you kind of see that Maxxxine is getting her dream, like, you know what I mean? I mean, kind of like she's going into a low budget horror movie, and you can see some of that in the trailer. Like, she's on the set of like some like cheap ass horror movie.
And then it's also like the Night Stalker, right?
That is.
I think he's gonna be a red herring.
I think he's kind of like a background. Well, here's the thing, like, because. Have you ever watched the Netflix documentary on him? It's like it's a documentary that's like 4 episodes long, but Richard Ramirez was one of the biggest pieces of shit that ever fucking lived. He really is. Yet, like, American Horror Story turned him into like a character where he actually had satanic powers.
Oh shit, I didn't know that. I don't think that's what, 84? 84, yeah.
84, but fuck, one of the other seasons, like, one of the seasons had some weird episode where the guy was in a hotel and he had like dinner with like him, Eileen Wardrose, and like, like all of these random serial killers.
What the fuck?
like he was either hallucinating it or there it goes. I don't know what I just heard about the scene, but the guy was a piece of shit. Like, I hope if he is in this movie that Maxxine kills him. Like, to be honest with you.
What if like he ends up being like the extra that
like maybe
that,
like
that like Mia Goth kicked in the
you know, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, how like they changed the story of the Manson family where Brad Pitt, like, I would like something like that, like where Maxine like
It
fucking
just,
like kills his ass.
Yeah,
Like,
stalker right now.
because again, like the dude's like one of the biggest pieces of shit to ever live. Like, yeah. So I do think it's gonna be a red herring. Like you said.
I think like it's like they're gonna use him as sort of the backdrop for like someone to pin these murders on, but I do think it's gonna be someone that's kind of in that like main cast of characters.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be a fun sort of like whodunit kind of murder mystery where do you think Maxxine is gonna be the killer, or do you think she's just gonna be wrapped up in it?
Well, that's like the cool thing about this is that it is a mystery. Like the other, I mean, you know who's killing who in both, you know, the two first ones, but this one like genuinely has like a mystique to it. I wouldn't put it like past it because Maxxine, she is like Pearl in the sense that she has like a crazy side to her.
Yeah.
But she's more like, it's like, fuck you, you're not gonna tell me what to do, as opposed to I'm gonna be a star and everything.
Yeah.
But she does have like that mentality to her, like everybody's gonna know my name. But I don't know. Like I can definitely see that happening, but I would like to see her more of the like
Protagonist.
that, like a main, like a serious protagonist.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
Yeah, I hope that they don't make her the killer. If they do, I hope that they at least do it in like a really cool, creative way. And I don't put it past Ty West to not do that. Like I think he will. You know, I think regardless of which direction they go, I remember the first time I watched the Maxxine trailer, I didn't realize that was Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's weird. His nose is like fucked up.
His nose is fucked up. He's doing an accent, and I was just like, whoa.
I mean, good Kevin Bacon is good Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Like I'm, you know, not to shit on movies, but like that movie Them and They that came out
They slashed
last
them.
year.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't, you know, I wasn't a big fan of that movie, but he was like really good in it.
This is giving the Kevin Bacon that I saw kind of is giving me hints of like Wild Things Kevin Bacon, which have you ever seen? Yeah, Wild Things.
Oh hell yeah!
Great movie.
I grew up in the '90s.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think we all saw that movie in the '90s.
He's giving me kind of those sort of vibes, and it's like if that's sort of the kind of Kevin Bacon performance that we're gonna get, then fuck yeah, because I want to see more of like that sort of Kevin Bacon as opposed to like a They/Them or even like a Whitewater Summer Kevin Bacon where he's like outright like a bad
dude
guy.
he can play psychotic and like unhinged. He definitely can. Another great movie of his, Stir of Echoes. Like from dude, I remember because my mom took me to see the Blair Witch Project, and it was like the only other like big movie that came out from Artisan Pictures at the time, but it had like the coolest trailer because it had the Ramones painted black.
That's
like
cool.
play it to it. Like it was, I just thought it was awesome. Then I saw it on video. I was like, oh, it's just a good movie.
Hell yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think Mia Goth and Kevin Bacon were really the only two characters in the trailer that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
I know you saw a glimpse of Giancarlo Esposito, and I know you saw like a little bit of Halsey.
I wouldn't be surprised if Halsey like gets killed like kind of relatively soon in the movie.
Yeah, I doubt she'll either be in the movie for a very short amount of time, or she's gonna be like Maxxine's best friend throughout the entire movie, or she'll be the killer.
Yeah. Yeah. Shows up at the end.
Yeah, but
Sarah Machine Gun Kelly.
like there's like the one shot in the trailer where like you see like the blood spatter over like the VHS tapes.
VHS. Yeah, that's actually is an awesome shot. Yeah.
And it's like, man, if the movie has shots like that, I think it'll be incredible. And so, what are, I guess, what are the three things that you want to see from this movie, or that you kind of expect to see from this movie? Expect and or want.
Well, like you were saying, like there's a chance that Maxxine might be the killer at the end of it, but I kind of don't want. I just kind of want her to be like. I want this to be like her ultimate like fucking like triumph and shit. Like, cause I mean, if she ends up like killing, like defeating the killer or whatever at the end, like that would be her like transition into like fame, what she's always wanted, which would like kind of wrap up the series like a lot. But at the same time, that kind of would be a cool twist, I guess. I think the acting all around, cause dude, Ty West knows how to like direct actors, dude. He knows how to like get the best out of them. So I think that's going to be. I think the acting's going to be really good, but also just the fact that we were talking how different X and Pearl were as movies. Like this is going to be different than both of those.
Right.
It will probably be, one of the most like diverse trilogies and like not just like genre history, but like cinema history.
So, I guess I feel like, especially in the horror realm, horror community, X and Pearl are kind of already looked at almost as classics, I think, by a lot of people.
Definitely modern classics.
Yeah. And I think especially in the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to see a lot of people constantly talking about how good they are. Now, if Maxxine, for some reason, doesn't stick the landing, like if they botch it, do you think that hinders X and Pearl? Because I feel like, It Chapter 1, I've said a million times over, I think is this generation's Goonies. I think that It Chapter 2 kind of fucked up the legacy of It Chapter 1. Now, I know that you and I both really like It Chapter 2, but the general consensus is that It Chapter 2 is way weaker than 1.
As a fan of the book, no, I don't agree.
Again, I know that you and I are champions of it.
Yeah, like it's.
But I do think
there are certain scenes in It Chapter 2 that I think are like fucking like above like the first one. But the first one is like honestly like one of the best horror movies of all time.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any arguing that.
And I think It Chapter 1 is a movie that in the next 10 to 15, 20 years, people are going to, again, I think people are going to be like, that was like my Goonies when I was, however.
Oh, it does that amazing like job of like, the same thing that the Goonies did, like, this group of kids that are actually acting like kids. They're cursing at each other, they're talking shit, they're, like,
yeah. But I feel like when people look at It Chapter 2, because of whatever reasons, it's, some people, I think, kind of have now sort of forgotten a little bit of the impact of It Chapter 1 because it's sort of viewed as a whole. And I'm wondering if Maxxine, for whatever reason, again, I don't think it'll happen.
Well, be more divisive.
Yeah, like I feel like if it fumbles the landing, you still have these two. Will it kind of tarnish the legacy of those two other movies?
It will. Like, I think even if Maxxine comes out and it's divisive, like in the next 10 years, I think people will be like being like, "Oh yeah, it's underrated." It's you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that is true.
Because I think I've talked shit about it, but Halloween Ends, like it's kind of the same
Halloween
thing.
Ends.
But I think 10 years from now, or sorry, don't use it. 10 years from now, I think people will be like, "Yeah, that's pretty underrated," because it's not a bad movie.
I like Halloween Ends. I think it's the best filmed of all the Halloween movies. Like visually, I think it actually looks the best.
It has like its moments and shit. Like, yeah, definitely I hate like the scene where like Michael Myers gets like overpowered, but I think that's the point of the plot though, that he's. But I hate one thing that I don't like is that at the end of Halloween Kills, like he seems invincible. Like he seems almost supernatural, or not almost, but supernaturally like fucking like invincible. But at the when you see him again, he's just like this like
Well, I do remember
man.
like it was in Halloween Kills. It was this thing of like Jamie Lee Curtis was like the more he kills, the more he transcends, and then Halloween Ends. It's been however many years, and he just hasn't killed anyone.
Yeah, he's basically like a dying dog.
Yeah, so I get that. The one part of Halloween Ends that I don't like is after Michael kills the first guy and he basically like shoots a load in his pants, like he like shivers and like it's so weird. And I'm just like, like that scene makes me laugh because you even hear like the shivering under the mask, and I'm just like, I don't like why,
It's
why,
like, Michael,
why,
Michael, we didn't know this.
like what? Okay, so Michael just gets like a sexual thrill from killing.
So
I don't like that.
That's been the cause of the evil the whole
Yeah.
time. Dr. Loomis was barking up the wrong tree.
That's the
Oh,
only part
shit.
of Halloween Ends that I don't like. But otherwise, I really like it. I think like the Cory angle in that movie is really interesting.
I don't hate any of those movies, dude. I even like because people shit all over Halloween Kills, and
Halloween Kills is so much fun.
I like it. I get it as laughable. Look at-
Evil dies
dude.
tonight.
It's. I always think of like Randy Marsh leading a fucking like mob. Like when I think of like the mob in that
Yeah.
movie, it's that dumb.
The woman that
But-
shoots herself by accident was so funny in that movie too. He like
Well,
kicks
dude.
the door and she just
The kills are good. There's some
funny.
like there are some good,
funny.
genuine Halloween moments. in
Oh,
that.
the masks on like the carousel from Season of
Yeah,
the Witch, like
yeah.
it's a great movie, and I think it's like what more would you want really from a Halloween movie? Truthfully,
And if I had like any complaints about Halloween Ends, like I do think it's kind of dumb how like people blame Laurie Strode. Like
Yeah.
your hysteria brought him out. What does that even mean? That's
yeah,
your hysteria. It's like if he was already out, then I really doubt
it was a little like messy, I guess, like
me-
story wise, but otherwise, yeah, I think it's a great
has-
trilogy,
I like the
quadrilogy if you want to count the first one too.
Oh yeah.
And Halloween Kills does
Really?
also the really cool, awesome job of like redoing Halloween 2 with like the flashback scenes.
Oh yeah.
Thought that was so cool.
That was awesome how they did Donald Pleasance there, like or someone to stand in for Donald
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pleasance. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
But again, it's called Halloween Kills, and it lives up to that title.
For sure.
You know, is
I
it
think
the
it has
best?
the best kill scene in the entire franchise with the firefighters and everything.
Oh, dude, it was like if you're looking for it, that title implies carnage, and that movie was fucking
Oh, yeah.
carnage. And I don't think the guy who plays Tommy Doyle, the guy from The Breakfast Club, Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah, Anthony Michael Hall.
Okay, I don't think he was terrible in most scenes, but when it came to leading the mob,
I just don't think he was the right actor for it.
He's an odd casting.
Yeah, I just think he was an odd casting because if you had gotten Anthony Michael Hall as he was in The Breakfast Club, I think that would have been better casting. Maybe written differently, not what he was, but just because in that movie, Anthony Michael Hall looks like someone that would I feel like Anthony Michael Hall and who was the other guy who was also in Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
the
the longer
older guy with
hair.
the beard and
Yeah,
the long hair.
He should have played Anthony Michael Hall's character.
yeah,
I
that
think he
dude
would have
is-
been better.
That dude is awesome in everything I've ever seen him
He
in.
plays a really good sympathetic character, and I think if you're trying to do Tommy Doyle, you need someone who's gonna have you're gonna have that little bit of sympathy already
Like a
ingrained
bit of
for him.
vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because when you think back to Halloween, you
He's just
think
a little kid, so it's you kind
he's-
of want to see that scared little
yeah,
kid
he's
a little bit.
you think of a child. You think more like someone like you said, a little bit more sympathetic.
Yeah,
But I think in certain scenes, because they imply that he grew up and then he became kind of gruff from from the whole experience. He picks up a baseball bat and they're like, "Oh, Tommy Doyle's gonna fuck someone up,"
yeah,
and it's
makes sense. But I don't know.
It's
Narrative,
it's a choice, I guess, but it's not too bad.
no.
But yeah, I definitely like part 2. Part 3, despite its flaws, it's absolutely worth a watch if you're a fan of the fucking series. And I do think that's gonna over the next 10 years, that's gonna like gain a fan base, like, because it's not a bad movie. It's just kind of not what you're expecting.
No, but I like it. And truthfully, if anything, I can appreciate a movie that takes a risk. And Halloween Ends takes a big fucking risk. And so does X and Pearl. And hopefully so will Maxxxine. I hope Maxxxine takes a lot of risks. And again, knowing Ty West, it doesn't seem like something that we have to worry about. It seems like he'll...
It's in good hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that, like, with the cast and the director.
So, I guess, final question is, when all three come out, is it a trilogy that you're going to sit down and watch all the way through, or is it something that you're going to be like, I want to watch X and then not, and then third option, is it a trilogy that you would want to watch like chronologically, where you would watch Pearl first, then X, and then Maxxxine?
Maybe chronologically, but I genuinely don't think like Maxxxine is gonna let down.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks, with, again, like we were saying, with the hands that it's in, with the cast. I heard the script is really fucking good, so I think it's gonna like really solidify this as like a genuine great trilogy. But it's also gonna be like one of the most like it's like one's like that again, like we said, this one's like backwoods horror, one's like psychological horror, one's like crime noir. It's like gonna be like one of the most like diverse trilogies in the genre history.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean that in the best way possible. Yeah, dude, I think it's gonna fucking be awesome. Like,
yeah,
personally.
Yeah, I definitely think it's gonna be a classic. I think in the next 10 to 15 years, people are still gonna be talking about these movies, and I think Ty West, in the next 10 to 15 years, is gonna be a director that people are just like gonna start putting up with like the other great horror movie directors.
I think he's gonna catapult.
Yeah.
Like, cause here's the thing, like, I really like Eli Roth. I think he's like one of the best, like, kind of like my kind of like slasher horror like directors of the last like however many years. But Ty West is like onto something different.
I think Ty West has the grindhouse slasher capability of Eli Roth with the psychological horror sensibility of like a Michael Flanagan.
Yeah.
And I think he's like, you put those two together, like, again, I think in the next couple of years people are really going to be putting Ty West up there with the horror director greats.
And again, dude, it's a great time to be a horror fan. I mean, because, Eli Roth, easily, like, I think it's his, like, at least for me personally, like, the most enjoyable film that he's made is Thanksgiving. Like, it's such a good slasher. Like, it's so, like, it's not right up there with Scream, I'd say, but, like, it has that same, like, tone to it. Like,
it's a lot of fun. It
really is fun. And, like,
Cabin Fever will always be one of my favorite horror movies ever. It's a top 10 horror movie for me. I love Cabin Fever.
Well, Cabin Fever, it's like a lot more, I think, inspirational to that time than people give it credit for. Because, like, after that movie came out, then, like, you would have, like, tons of, like, just gory, like, fucking insane, like, horror movies coming out.
Hell yeah.
But, yeah, dude. Mike Flanagan, Ty West, like, we're living in a good time for,
oh yeah,
for horror movies in general. Like, I want to see, like,
the directors of Talk to Me just signed on to do a new horror movie, so that'll be really cool.
Another one. I want to say my favorite horror movie of last year.
Talk to Me.
Dude,
that movie stressed me the fuck out.
Dude,
Talk to Me stressed me out so much. I loved it. It was great, but yeah.
You want to know a funny story about that? I watched it at like 1 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't go back to sleep. I rented it, and fucking, it was the scene.
Was it the scene where she was licking them toes?
Dude, no, the scene, like, you see her come, because you don't see her at first, then she like crawls out of the shadows.
Yeah.
But when people get, because in my apartment building, you need a key to get onto the floor itself, so sometimes if people get locked out, they'll just like buzz random neighbors. I'm like watching that scene like, fuck. in like complete dark, and all of a sudden I hear dude, I literally like fucking jumped in my fucking seat. But no, yeah, definitely one of the most effective horror
Yes.
movies. Like, dude, probably I've even ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, it's really well done.
It stressed me the fuck out. I loved that movie. But yeah, that's probably a good place to stop. I think, as we both said, X is a classic, Pearl is a classic. I think Maxxxine will be a classic, and I think the entire trilogy is going to go down as like just a fucking classic horror trilogy, plus the first A24 trilogy, which is crazy too. So
It's good to see A24 like, like kind of. I know it was like an indie like presence for a while, but it's really like come into its own. It's awesome now.
Everyone knows about A24 now, which is really cool.
Yeah, good for them.
So yeah, thank you to anyone and everyone that listened. There will be more videos coming onto this channel. Obviously, we changed the channel from the film section to the kickback because there's going to be more than just movies talked about on this channel. Movies will still be the prime thing, like that'll be number one. But we're going to talk about TV shows. We're going to talk about weird topics like Strange Hills to Die On. That episode, new podcast, is on this channel now. The film section podcast is going to come back hopefully very soon. Just trying to get a hold of Chris. But yeah, anything you want to say before you head out?
Yeah, good to be back. Hey, I have a Facebook now, so that's something. I think I said that earlier, but yeah, it's good to be back. I love talking about this shit. It's always, and again, if you haven't seen Pearl, why are you watching this? Or Pearl or X? Like, why would you be watching a podcast on it? I would say watch that. Yeah, we look forward to Maxxxine. So,
Oh yeah, see you guys next time.